Hey folks, today we have a new Shadow deck for the post-nerf rotation format. This one is Last Words Shadow. If you play last expansion, you'll be happy or sad to see this come back, but I had some pretty decent luck with it, so I thought I'd show it off. We'll go over the cards, and then we'll show some games. So, you got your Wicked Rebirths. Obviously, most of these cards are familiar from the last one. You play your low-cost Last Words things. Bone Fanatic, Skeleton Dreamer, Bubbly, Kagero, he makes the spell. So, he's for extra push. We have Otherworld to draw these things, these four. Psychopomp for draw, Wicked Rebirth because it's insane. We don't have Sarcophagus or Grimmer anymore, so Ceres can kind of fill their spot. Her spell, based on my testing so far, the attack on Linkstaff is very useful. Otherwise, just put it on some high attack thing. Now we actually have some new cards from the expansion. Linkstaff is pretty insane. Once you get 10 Last Words, she's a 5/5 Storm for 3. It draws you a card. With a Dark Desire and a Wicked Rebirth, that's 10 damage just on her. We have 1 Farron, because that's enough. 2 Chris. 3 Necro Impulse for finishing the game. 3 Milteo, because not a ton of banish anymore. Jadelin's gone. Haven's pretty much gone. There's this new-ish dragon deck that is more control-y, that has a lot of banish, but I haven't run into it a ton yet. If that starts becoming a common deck, then maybe the Milteos will have to be replaced with something else. But until then, should be safe to run. Gets your Farron out on 6 pretty reliably as well. We have the 1 Celeste, because I couldn't think of anything better. You could probably run 3 Chris if you wanted to. She's just kind of a extra thing. And then the 3 Tyrants. Excelling 1 seems to be fine. Keeping the other 2 for board clears. In this meta especially. On a board you're going to want to clear. So first, we'll show off a Magic Against Portal. Seems pretty common, currently. It's nothing really special that you have to do. Just play aggressive. Their endgame boards honestly aren't that scary, since you have Tyrant. But you still don't want to let them get there. Between Tolerance and all the healing they'll do. So for mulligans, keeping a 1-drop, Tyrant's probably your best 2. And we didn't do it here, but some sort of draw is probably good to keep. So for 1, Tyrant or 2-drop, and then draw. Whether that's Milteo, Psychopomp, or worst case probably is Linkstaff. You shouldn't feel too sad about using 1 Linkstaff early on. You're generally going to just use the 1 to finish out the game. So. So, thankfully, our opponent's not so incredibly far ahead on the board that it really matters. And we got a Ceres. So, our board's looking pretty nice. Our rally's up by 10, or up to 10. It'll almost always be up to 10 by turn 6. Again, pretty weak board. So, gonna do some draws. No reason to trade, because the Maisha can't do anything. So, we don't have lethal next turn, but we do have super lethal on turn 8. We'll give attack and defense to Linkstaff and Ominous, respectively. This way they can't tolerance us as easily. We'll heal back up to 20, so they have to have 2 that are basically free. And they do not. They're definitely dead. Linkstaff with an Evo is just 7 damage. We have Necro Impulse to give her another damage, so that's 8. We have the 8 from Necro Impulse itself, so that's 16, and then we kill her for another 8. And that's that. So next we have Rune, Evo Rune specifically. Another pretty common deck. At least the first couple days. They're gonna try to kill you with Grimnir. You make huge boards, so seems pretty decent. The early game can be a little spooky sometimes, but this one's not that big of a deal. And we have decent enough cards. So. We absolutely can't really deal with that right now. But taking 7 is not the worst thing in the world. If he were to ignore our board and go face, we have Darkest Desires to heal. Oh, that's not good. See, double Evos, but he didn't trade, so there's no reason to respect him. We have Ominous next turn. So, basically nothing that we could revive that would be terrible besides like another Milteo, exactly. We got 2 and 4. Good enough.
This world is filled with mystery. Nothing stops me once I got my speedy boots on.
Unless the board like flips really, really poorly, I think it's pretty safe to just stay on the aggressive in this matchup. As long as you know you have an answer. It doesn't matter how wide he goes. We know that we can deal with all of this. There's the Farron. Clear the board. Again, we're going to be the aggressors. There's no Vincent or anything, so we have no AoE to worry about.
Nothing stops me once I got my speedy boots on.
Miser is a little spooky. Double Miser is not great.
Speedy boots on.
It's not AoE per se, but does let him clear a decent amount of the board, but it still won't be enough.
I always catch
Especially evoing that one.
eventually.
He would have to evo the big one and kill the corpse. So, he couldn't do that. And it's just an easy Necro Impulse.
The eternal procession beckons.
This one's against the mirror.
Pandemonium ring through the night.
Shows that there are definitely other cards you can run in this deck. Some interesting decks. We got rid of both Milteos because we just didn't have any early game at all. But we kept the Link Staff.
Mesmerizing. Enchanted, I'm sure.
If you have the Gensetsu, you gotta hit him with the Mesmerizing. It's a fun emote. Just play one curve so far. Nothing special. This guy's playing the dog. I don't love, honestly. But we'll kill off the non-dog things. So he seems to be much more invested in getting last words as quickly as possible. But I still don't love it.
The bewitching hour is upon us.
I think the 1/1 is already looting the 3-drop pool enough. So we only had the 2 things to actually buff. Giving Chris defense isn't the worst. This was a mistake on our opponent's behalf. He should have just left the series alive if he was gonna start doing this. I assume he was trying to get it to be the 1/1, but
Carouse in the cacophony.
he was unable to do so.
Your red petals will soon be dyed blue. You are mine.
So the game has changed. We're at, I believe, 8-9. So we're not going to wait for Chris to be active. We'll just kill him next turn.
The bewitching hour is upon us.
My fate lies at the edge of the blade.
I'll discipline you down to your soul.
And he couldn't even deal with that board, so. Occasionally Farron likes to try to block you from lethal, but he can't do it this time.
We'll meet again.
So next we have Dragon.
The eternal procession beckons. Oh yeah,
Can be a little spooky. Some people are still playing the buff Dragon. That matchup's fine. But the Banished Dragon can be annoying. They just keep banishing all your stuff. You can't get up to 10. I haven't seen any of the just pure Natura. Though they play some similar cards, so.
Scouting's my middle name.
This one's probably the pure Natura. Looking back. I don't think they play any trees at all for the fish version. We played the series there because we knew he had that. Because he fused it. So. Just don't want to fall behind on board, basically. And we have Milteo to carry our right stuff. Georges is not a full player of this. Because we have the corpse. And the Lich will never just die. So we'll bury these two bubblies. We're just gonna Evo face because, I mean, why not? Turns out this is why, not exactly. Another Tiamat and Georges, but that's fine. This one will clear everything. And we drew the Wind God right before he was live. But that's fine. So we're at 10, but we would die to another Gondoza. This was a mistake. We should play the 3 drop first, Evo him. Then we wouldn't waste that extra thing. We'd have another person on the board that gets buffed. So, that was a bad order by me. But it does get us out of Gondoza range. And he has no follow-up. So. We'll search a little bit. See if we can draw like a Necro Impulse or something. Do. Oh, that's lethal. If we didn't draw the Necro Impulse, we would just fair in there. Keep the board nice and juicy. So that's about it for the deck showcase. Tech cards that you can include. The Gold Mine dude, that basically another Wicked Rebirth without the draw. If Banish Dragon becomes like a serious thing, it'll be useful to pop your own Link Staff and do the massive burst without relying on just Wicked Rebirth or Cycle Pump. Celeste can be replaced for sure. I wouldn't add another Farron. I've found that if he comes out on turn 7, you're never going to be really happy about it. He kind of messes up Necro Impulse lethals by just being a body that gets in the way. So, I'd stick with one of those. Otherwise, there's still probably tons of, well, not tons of, but some work that could be done to this deck. This is just a day 2 thing. But hopefully it's a good shell to get you started. If there's some cards that you like to play, maybe you are running into specific decks, certainly things you can change, not feel bad about. But yeah, again, this is a good start, I think. So I hope you enjoyed the deck. I'll post a link below. You'd be able to copy it and do what you will with it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And I hope to see you for the next video. It'll be a class that's different than Shadow, I promise. Until next time. Later, folks.